It sounds like we had a pretty chill podcast today. You had some questions or you wanted to go over something with me? What was it?
Yeah. If you don't mind me just interviewing you for today's episode.
Sure, that's fine.
So for those listening, Luke has been doing a bunch of case studies on different apps that he sees successful, particularly in the B2C social space, because that's what he and I are both super interested in. And I think these case studies are really cool. And Luke, I just want to grill you about how you got into doing the case studies, what your methodology is, and so on. So maybe the first place to start is how you got into it.
So I saw a couple apps that were extremely successful with a tiny team. And by tiny, I mean like 1 to 2 people maximum. One of them that is gone viral recently is called Umax. It's like the looks maxing app. And that's just one guy. I don't know if he also used his funding because he did get funded at a small startup incubator that focuses on B2C AI apps in New York City.
What's their name, by the way, the incubator? I'm just kind of curious.
So the name of the incubator is called HF0.
Cool. Yeah, I'm looking up right now, and I'll include them in the show notes.
So anyway, this guy, Blake Anderson, he created this app. I don't know all the details, but he's been on a couple of podcasts, and actually just recently he was on the doc. I mean, recently as in like an hour ago, I think they just published an interview with him.
Nice.
And so I got interested in his apps first because they were just printing money and they looked like GPT wrappers, although I don't know how much they were GPT wrappers and how much he was doing something, more critical under the hood, but it's entirely possible that it's just a GPT-4 vision wrapper. In that app, what you do is you essentially take a picture of the front and the side of your face. Is it also the side? Yeah, I think it's the front and the side of your face. Yeah, front and side of your face. And then what it does is it gives you stats on basically how hot you are, essentially.
Yeah.
But what it does is it ties it into looks maxing metrics. So if you go into like Reddit, there's a couple looks maxing subreddits. So
yeah, and this is like a Zoomer / Gen Alpha trend, right?
Yeah, exactly. So there's r/looks maxing advice. Yeah, male grooming started as just male grooming, and then it turned into a looks maxing subreddit, basically.
Yeah, which is probably a good rebrand because the term grooming, unfortunately, is just totally poisoned at this point.
Well, it's funny because they didn't actually rebrand it. I think it just got co-opted.
Gotcha.
And to be clear, like when I was doing deep research on the looks maxing community, like a lot of it's pretty toxic, like 4chan adjacent stuff. And you can find that they have these private forums that are self-hosted and they're self-hosted for a reason, right? Is the best way I can describe that. Yeah. And so the whole place is the whole space is pretty wacky. But the point is this guy made this app where you take a front and side photo of your face and then it gives you like your overall hotness, your potential hotness. And this is like 1 out of 100. And then your masculinity, things like skin quality, jawline, cheekbones. And then it calls out like, what is your, excuse me. And then it calls out what is your face shape, what is your eye shape, what is your eye type, and then what is your canthal tilt. And I remember being like, what the fuck is canthal tilt? Like I've literally never heard about this before, right? Yeah. And it's all about like the way that your face and eyes are shaped and oriented and stuff like that.
It sounds like it's getting into like phrenology, pseudoscience territory or
I don't think it's quite phrenology. I think it's literally like, I don't know what the looks maxing methodology is, but I get the sense that they have come up with some criteria for what the most attractive face is for a man. And it's obviously a generalization because while people have preferences, with a big enough sample size, you can start to pull out trends, right?
Yep.
So things like whether you have hunter eyes or prey eyes and stuff like that, like allegedly affects your actual attractiveness is as a male, right?
Yeah. Just as an interjection, like I'm afraid I can't take the like stuff at face value all that seriously. I'm like you, I'm super interested in the space, but just my disclaimer is like, man, this stuff all sounds a little nuts to me.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. So, mostly just reporting on what I found, not like any claims.
Absolutely. So let's step back a bit. So you hear about this app, it's really pulling strong numbers, and then you're like,
and by strong numbers, we're talking like easily over $1 million a year, right?
Gotcha.
Like, I've heard that it's as high as 4 million ARR with like one guy and what appears to be a GPT-4 Vision wrapper. There may be extra stuff in there, but that's what it appears to be generally.
Yeah, and so you decide, okay, I want to understand what makes this app tick.
Yeah, basically, how does it work? And so the first thing I did it with this app, and I've done it with others, is I go to the App Store listing and I start a screen recording, okay? And the first thing I do is I start a screen recording, and before I go through all the different flows and stuff, the purpose of the screen recording is that when I'm done, I just dump the whole screen recording onto my MacBook, and then I open it in QuickTime, and QuickTime has this really interesting feature where if you press copy while you're looking at a frame, it actually copies that frame to your clipboard, and then you can dump it into like Figma, for example, which is what I do. So it's just a really quick way to go through and get frames instead of like having to like screenshot 1,000 things. You literally just run through the app and then you go back afterwards and just grab the frames you want.
To clarify, you're using QuickTime's feature where QuickTime on your laptop is recording your phone.
No, I literally do a screen recording on the device and then I just airdrop it to my MacBook and then I open it in QuickTime, and then if you hit Command C, then it will copy that visible frame.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. I'm going to go pretty deep into detail here just to give the audience something.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine because there's a lot of little details here. So the first thing I do is I go to the App Store and I get the App Store listing, like the I'll call it like the impression card. I don't know what the actual term for that is, but it's essentially the app icon, the app name, the subtitle, number of reviews, and then the 3 top screenshots.
Gotcha.
So that's like the first thing people see when they search. So I grab that, and then I grab the entirety of the App Store listing. So the what's new, the preview, ratings and reviews. I don't go deep on ratings and reviews, but I will grab maybe like 50 of them. And then I'll grab app privacy information. And then the most important thing here is to grab the in-app purchases. So if you actually open up the in-app purchases section in the App Store listing, you can see what they're charging. And so, for example, here on Umax, you can see that they have 4 versions of their monthly premium, and it ranges from $9.99 to $12.99 to $24.99. And so that lets you see like what pricing tiers they're actively testing with their members.
Yeah, so like Apple will show that to you even if they're not displaying that pricing in the app, right? So if they're running an A/B test or even have like inactive C, you'll see A, B, and C from the App Store in-app purchases list.
Exactly. Yeah. Cool. And so that's what their monthly premiums are. They also have weekly premiums, so they're trying those as well. I think I was served the $4.99 weekly premium is what I ended up seeing when I was using the app. And then they have some in-app purchases like you can supercharge, and we can talk about that later. And then they have something called You as a 10 out of 10, which is $7. You pay $7 and they generate a picture of you as if you were a 10 out of 10.
Nice. Like Did you try it? Can I
didn't try it on mine. They just had like a couple examples, and I kind of got the idea without having to actually do it.
Yeah, and besides, you don't need to downgrade from 11 anyway.
Right, exactly. I broke the scale, and I don't need to downgrade. The other thing I do here is I go to the very bottom. A lot of people miss this. There's a section called You Might Also Like. And if you tap See All, it gives you a list of what's essentially all of the competitors to that app.
Yeah, I love this trick of yours. It's like free comp analysis, right?
Yeah, it's free comp analysis. It's literally like one button. You get a list of like 20 competitors, basically. And Apple is so good at picking the competitors in that list that it's definitely worth looking at.
Yeah, cool.
And then the next thing I do is I grab all the screenshots. But the thing is that really the first 3 are the ones that matter. Because you only see 3 on the search results screen, and you see 1.5 on the actual app listing page, unless you swipe. Then you can see, in this case, he had all 5.
Yeah, but we all know like fall off is insane. You're only going to see what's already there.
Right, exactly. And one thing that's interesting about his screenshots, and this is not a knock on him, I'm actually just honestly impressed. They're total dog shit. Like they're really bad screenshots, right?
Yep.
And he actually repeats one of the screenshots. Like his third and his fifth screenshot are identical, which just shows you how much he does not give a shit about this, right?
Yeah,
and he's still printing insane amounts of money. So that's just something to keep in mind. This is the kind of app where, and we can talk about business on, I mean, sounds like it's going to be a Umax breakdown, but
I think that's perfect.
In terms of business, like his leads are coming from TikTok. For sure. So people are essentially seeing the app Umax on TikTok. They're typing in Umax. They're smashing the open and the download button. The download and open button. They're probably not even tapping in to the actual app store listing. Like I'd be shocked if they are, right? So
that's a good segue. Why don't you break down how you researched his growth and acquisition strategy? So just walk us through how you discovered it.
Yeah, to find his actual funnel, what I first did is I looked at his website. But the funny thing about his website is even though there's a Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter social links at the bottom, all of them are broken and they just forward to a, contact@umax.app.com, like mail to link. So this dude literally does not care about any of this superfluous stuff, and it's not affecting his revenue, clearly. So I believe what I did at that point is I just started searching the platforms. And I searched TikTok, and pretty immediately it became obvious that this was his major platform for finding users or finding customers.
Yeah, so you're literally just typing like Umax.
TikTok. Just Umax, and his TikTok account over there is umax.app. And if you go view it, then you start to see a bunch of videos that he's just made, kind of a little kind of build in public-y stuff, but like very not for the build in public community, just like, hey, here's me shipping a feature, right? But then he also has UGC, user-generated content, just posted to his own channel. But then if you start to dig deeper and you start to look for other Umax content, you start to find these other TikTok creators who are, I mean, I can't say for sure, but it's pretty obvious they're on payroll of some kind. So I'll just name some names here. The first one is Rodrigo.exp. And he essentially has just posted, I don't know, 100, maybe one a day, 2 a day, 15-second videos of being like, just like insane stuff, like Super Mario if it was made by Looks Maxers, right? And it will literally be like him wearing like a Super Mario outfit, and then he walks under like a set of like Super Mario blocks that just like look like they're made out of cardboard. And then like Peach comes into the frame and like Peach doesn't like him. And then he like pulls open like the Umax app and shows that he's like a 99 out of 99 out of 99 on everything. And then like Peach like walks off with him. Like it's just totally like insane stuff, right?
Is this like CGI or animated?
No, it's legit like just
live
this guy.
Action.
And I think what it is, and I've never actually seen these places. I've heard they exist, but I think there are places, especially in like Los Angeles, where you can walk in, like pay a fee for an hour, and they just have rooms upon rooms with all kinds of random sets and all kinds of random like props and costumes. And you can just go in and just like film TikTok content all day long. And I think that that's what this guy is doing.
Nice. Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
Cool.
But his account is like insanely popular. And what's really funny is that when he posts this content, people will be like, essentially, bro, you're selling out. And he's like, you're goddamn right I am. And then everyone's like, got to get that bag. So they're like kind of like cool with it. But like calling him out. And then when he like calls them out for giving a hard time, then they're like totally fine with it. So the whole vibe is pretty funny. But yeah, that's kind of like the big funnel on TikTok that I can see, at least as of, let's call it like 2 months ago was when I last looked at it.
Yeah. Do you have any even ballpark estimating his ad spend here? Because that's kind of
I have really no clue. About. Apparently on the doc, I was looking at the comments for that doc interview that I haven't actually listened to yet. I'm going to listen to it when we get off this recording.
Yeah.
Somebody says that he claims he spent $100 on spend, but I don't believe him, because the only other thing I can think of is that while he may have, if he did only spend $100, my guess is that this guy is getting some amount of equity or some kind of revenue sharing that looks a little bit different, although I don't know exactly what it is.
$100 will get you almost nowhere.
Nothing. Nowhere. So there's no way he's spending. Something else is happening. Like maybe this is a friend of a friend. Like, I don't know. But like something other than the $100 is definitely happening.
Is it just like this Mario EXP dude, or are there
there's
lot of
other
people?
Stuff too. So there's this other one called his TikTok account is called Syrian Psycho, which sounds kind of crazy, but the joke is like he's another looks maxing channel, and his joke is that he's kind of like American Psycho, right? You know how there's like that whole meme about the guy from American Psycho like doing his skincare routine?
Yeah.
All of his content is like that, but he's from Syria, so it's Syrian Psycho. That's like the whole concept, right?
Gotcha.
And so he's done a couple, but like definitely when I was last looking at it, Rodrigo de EXP was just massively more prolific than anybody else who is making content like this.
Yeah.
The other possibility, and this is so hard to quantify. The other possibility is that people like this are making content in hopes that they will in the future get some sort of deal with a company. And there's no way for me to quantify that.
Yeah, I'm inclined just to not take him at face value and to believe that he's either paying way more than he said or has some sort of non-monetary compensation scheme.
Yeah, I mean, even if this guy was getting $20K a month, it would be revenue positive, my guess. I don't know what his numbers really look like, but I would guess that it would be revenue positive.
Yeah. Have you evaluated his ASO?
He doesn't really need it because it's just Umax.
Yeah, but I'm curious, like, how does he rank? Does he happen to rank for any strong keywords? Does it look like he's doing any keyword plays?
Well, basically, if I were to guess what these keywords are, it's just a branded keyword, Umax, right? That's the one that's used on all of his TikTok content. So Umax, he's got that number one, no problem.
So mostly like a branded ASO.
Yeah, basically. And then the next one would be looks maxing. And I'm going to check right now because we're talking about it.
Yeah, have you checked him out in any of the various like keyword ranking tools to check?
No.
Gotcha.
So looks maxing, he's number 3. But he is also just completely destroying the top 2. Okay? Like, he's got 26,000 ratings, and the top 2 have like 300 ratings.
Wow. Okay. I wonder why the top 2 are beating him. Are they just like clones
honestly,
that are
if I can be completely honest with you, I think these guys are just playing a different game. And that game is they don't give a shit about ASO. They have their branded keyword, Umax, and they're just pumping people from TikTok. And so everything else just becomes so like long tail that it's like not even worth their time.
Yeah. Though I'm also just trying to get at your broad case study methodology here. So let's say this
okay, so let me put it this way. With this app, I did not look at keywords because it did not seem to be a strong part of his strategy.
Yeah, in situations where keywords do seem relevant to the strategy, what is your methodology there?
Basically, what I do is I look at the title and subtitle. I try to figure out what keywords they're using because you can usually tell what keywords they're trying to target just by the title and subtitle. Yeah. And then I look at maybe their competitors and look at what keywords their competitors are using. And then usually I can start to build like a 50 to 100 word like keyword list that I can track in like a keywords tool.
Yeah, which one are you using, just out of curiosity?
The one that I've used most recently is Astro, but I'm thinking of switching because it doesn't seem to work well for me at scale. So when I'm doing like a lot of research, it starts to get really, really, really slow. But I have used it for, when I was doing like 1 or 2 or 3 apps and then it worked pretty well for me there.
Cool. And you quoted revenue before. Where were you getting those numbers? Are you using Sensor Tower or looking at kind of the rumor mill online?
So it's a little bit of both. So it's Sensor Tower because Sensor Tower is never 100%. And looking at the rumor mill and just stuff that he's said publicly. Usually what I do is I check Sensor Tower. So for this app in particular, it says that he's doing 300K a month, but I believe in some interviews he said closer to like 4 or 5 million a month. And that actually tracks because when I have talked to people, smaller apps granted, who have an amount of revenue where you can actually start to get some granular revenue data from Sensor Tower. Sensor Tower seems to report like 60 to 80% of actual revenue. So I think that's to say that I think it's like a slight underestimate.
Gotcha.
Like a conservative estimate. I don't know how true that is across all apps, but that's just kind of what I noticed with just like a couple apps.
Yeah. How do you find his interviews? Did you just like figure out the guy's name from the site and then just Google and work backwards?
I actually think I ran across his interviews before I went doing the deep dive. And so that's how I found his name originally. But you can actually find it very easily. So what I did is I searched, let's see here, how did this work? So the way I found his name, or the way I would have found his name if I didn't know already, is I found the Umax app and I went to the About page and it literally has, I think, his phone number and his name. If it's not his phone number, it's like, there is a phone number there, right?
Yep.
I don't know if it's his or not, but yep. And then it says who it's owned by, and if you click on the link, it goes to his Twitter. Then, of course, if you go on Twitter and you just type in like Umax, then it shows up. Like you can find it on LinkedIn too. Like that stuff's not like crazy hard to find.
Yeah, gotcha.
In this case, It wasn't crazy hard to find. Guys who have apps like this, they want to brag about it. So if they have something that's like slaying it on the App Store and it's just them, like you're going to find them because they're going to tell everybody about it.
Yep. Though on that, I always find it funny. There are guys with massive W's, like apps just printing money. And then they'll brag about it pretty publicly, but they remain super obscure. It's kind of funny. It's like the people who end up building a public brand very often aren't the people that are just like absolutely printing money. I think exceptions are dudes like Nikita Beer who are doing both. Yeah. But there's a lot of guys that are just like absolutely killing it and want to talk about themselves, but for some reason nobody pays attention.
Yeah. I don't know how I would do it personally, but if I was making $5 million a year off of random GPT rappers, pretty sure I would just be like surfing in Hawaii. 5 days out of the year.
Yeah, if I win the lottery, I won't tell you, but there'll be
I'd have like a house in Alaska and a house in Hawaii and like a private jet that would take me between the two. Although I don't think 5 mil is private jet territory, but
yeah, you're getting there though. You're kind of getting close. There. Sweet. Okay, cool. So we've talked about how you do the like preliminary research. We've checked out this guy's App Store listing. We made a recording and pulled screenshots out. We found his name, Googled him a bunch, watched his interviews, looked him up in Sensor Tower, checked him on socials, TikTok, searched for the brand name, searched for his name. And what's next in our process?
So that was diverting a little bit. Going back to the screenshots, I actually run through the whole flow. So we've been recording this whole time. And when I say recording this whole time, I actually pull out screenshots of TikTok, right? So I've got examples, and in some cases I have multiple screenshots from a single video, so I can see like what the scenes are in the video, so that I can reference that later to try to figure out like what the content actually looks like. So I even go that deep just because I run into it like while I'm doing this research. So then we get into the actual app. So we open the app, and do you want me to just walk through the onboarding?
Sure.
Okay.
And by the way, you're organizing all this in Figma, right?
Yeah, this is in Figma. What is it called? Not the regular Figma.
FigJam?
Yeah, FigJam. Exactly. Yeah, this is in a FigJam just because it's easier to bang around in.
Rest in peace, Jamboard. Long live FigJam.
Yeah, I don't know Jamboard. Is that like
Jamboard was app? Google's whiteboard thing that they killed like a year or two ago.
They kill everything.
Of course.
So we're going to go through Umax's onboarding flow, but honestly, there's a lot of similarities between this and the other, Zoomer social apps that print, okay? Yeah. So first things first, splash screen, literally just the icon on a black background. And then immediately it asks you for ATT. What is that? App tracking transparency?
Yeah.
So it immediately asks for ATT. and it doesn't prime you at all. It's literally just splash screen, ATT dialogue.
Nice.
Boom.
Okay.
So you either allow or disallow. And then it says choose your gender, male or female. And then the next screen is literally just an icon, a huge icon that fills up the whole screen. It says trusted by 1 million plus people, and then it has 5 stars under it. Okay.
Nice.
It's not, you don't select 5 stars. It just literally shows 5 yellow stars under it. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you click continue and it pops open the rating dialogue. So it's like extremely suggestive. Okay.
Yeah.
So you either rate it 5 stars or you don't. And then it pushes you on to referral codes. So it says, do you have a referral code? And it does not explain what this is or where you get one, but it makes you aware that there is such a thing. And if you look on TikTok, what's interesting is the comments are just filled with people being like, bro, I'm cooked if you don't use my referral code. And then it's like, they just like paste their referral code. So like there's tons of referral code spam.
Yeah, I mean, that's a note.
TikTok
I wonder if he seeds that behavior. Like on each video, he has like 2 or 3 people post, bro, here's my referral code. I'm cooked.
I have
just
no
to get
idea.
other people like accustomed to the idea of sharing your referral code.
So I don't know what happens if you actually use a referral code, but this is the kind of app where I think you have like the poors and the riches, right? Where it's like the poors all are trying to get in via referral code, and then the rich kids are just like smashing the pay button.
Yep. Okay, gotcha.
Okay,
cool. So we're in onboarding. We got to referral code. What's next?
Next is it just shows you the notification dialogue. And it's funny because it actually shows you the notification dialogue before the enable notification screen shows up. So, or let me rephrase that. It pushes the enable notification screen and then it shows the dialogue. So then you click allow and then you click continue to go to the next section, if that makes any sense. It's a little bit weird, but it's not too weird.
Gotcha. Okay. So like the native system pop-up occurs before
is the first thing.
You're primed.
Yeah, exactly. Very, very much like shooting from the hip. So next stage is auth. It just asks you to create an account. It says Google or Apple. And then that's onboarding, or I should say that's the first half of onboarding. Any questions before I keep going?
I'm just surprised. It's a pretty chunky onboarding. We're
Super
talking
chunk.
like what, 4 screens?
Yeah,
now?
4 screens. Very much
couple
like
dialogues.
It's literally ATT, gender, 5 stars, referral code, notifications, account. Boom, you're in the app, and then there's like a second like in-app.
Yeah.
onboarding.
Okay. So let's go on then to onboarding to Electric Boogaloo.
Okay, so onboarding to Electric Boogaloo is it literally just pops open a bottom sheet that says take daily progress pic, upload or take a selfie. So you smash that button and it says it would like to access the camera. You say okay, takes a picture, has you take a picture of the front, has a little processing image loading screen, and then it shows your face, the one that you just took the picture of. And then it says, use another or continue. So I tap continue. And it's actually a little bit janky. So what it does next is it shows a toast. It says progress pic saved. Great job. And then it pops up another bottom sheet. Okay. So I think he's literally just doing the fastest way possible to build this thing without making the flow feel like super coherent. Okay.
Yeah.
But it totally works.
Yeah.
So then the next part is it has you go ahead and, actually, you know what? I'm going to back that up. So the first flow that we just talked about was actually a daily progress pic photo. Okay. I think it should use that, but maybe it's just easier to code. I don't really know. And you'll see what I mean here in a second. So then the flow that comes after that is a scanning flow, which is different than the daily progress flow.
Yeah.
Okay. So now it kicks you into a scanning flow and it says upload a front selfie. So took a front selfie, processing image. Then it says upload a side selfie. take the side selfie, processing image, and then it hits you with reveal your results. And it's a hard paywall. And it says, invite 3 friends or get Umax Pro to view your results. And it's got my face. And it says overall potential, masculinity, skin quality, jawline, cheekbones, and all of the numbers are blurred out. And under that, it says get Umax Pro with like this massive purple button. I mean, the interactions in this app are like comical. It's like, imagine like a material button, but like 5 times its normal size. Right? And so get Umax Pro is the primary button. And then under that, it says invite 3 friends. And that kicks off, if you type invite 3 friends, then it gives you the invite code and you can share your invite code with other people.
Gotcha, makes sense. By the way, to step back a little before I forget, it sounds a lot like, to me, not so much that he's building as fast as he can. I'm sure that's a part of it too. I wouldn't be surprised if part of why all the steps flow so badly together is that he's A/B testing like crazy, and therefore he doesn't know if the preceding step will be available or not, because he may have been A/B tested out of any given step. So
so I don't have any way to like confirm or deny that, but I get the sense that this guy has just shotgunned out an app and is A/B testing paywall and is just doing tons of TikTok marketing. That's my sense of what the ground truth is here.
And not as much like A/B testing the heck out of the onboarding.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Cool.
Although maybe there's an argument that he should have somebody who specializes in that, because who knows, maybe he could squeeze another 50%, which for him would be $2 million a year. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's like a fucking beach house every year, basically.
Insane. Yeah.
But anyway, so after it shows the reveal your results, you tap on Get Umax Pro, and then it hits you with the paywall. And the paywall is like kind of basic and kind of not at the same time. So what it does is it shows you, level up, proven to help you max your looks. And then it says get your ratings, and it's got a list of like 6 example ratings. And then under that, it just says $4.99 per week, unlock now with like the hands up emoji. That's pretty much the whole thing.
You and I have both seen Weekly perform just absolutely killer.
Oh yeah. On an app like this, well, I shouldn't say that. What I should say is, if you can get people to sign up for Weekly, that stuff is crazy for MRR.
Yep.
It's like really, really wild. Now, that said, if you have an app where you can get annual, the upfront payments are really nice. But if you can get a subscriber base that's just like totally fine with doing Weekly, doing like $3 a week, I mean, that's like $12 a month, which is like $144 a year. And a lot of people, it sounds so horrible, but a lot of people just forget their subscription. And that Weekly just like rips money out of their bank account, basically.
Yeah. To get deep into the dark pattern, kind of depressing angle of this, one of my theories is maybe there's a threshold of payment. Like, and I know this happens to me when I'm skimming my bank account. If a payment is
you're
low
like, that's
enough,
a Starbucks order. Like, I don't care about that.
Yeah, it just becomes white noise. So maybe
if it's like $72, if it's like $50 for a year, you might be like, yo, what the fuck? But if it's like a bunch of like $3 purchases, then you're kind of like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, it just kind of disappears into the ether. I almost wonder if that's happening. But anyway, I'm taking us off track. I missed it. Does he have a trial or not?
No trial. Gotcha. But what I will say is that the paywall, if you scroll down a little bit, you can see that there's like a page indicator, and it goes through 4 different pages. The first one is get your ratings, and the next one is improvement coach with some chat bubbles. It's got some like GPT chat feature. And then it says level up, and it says learn about your candle tilt, face shape, eye shape, and like all kinds of different stuff. And then the next one is just level up, and it's like start a skincare routine and diamond face styling, and that's basically it.
This kind of hits on something I learned from Steve from App Masters that is really counterintuitive. Is everywhere it's drilled into your head that good design is minimal, especially minimal text. I think from what I've heard and from what Steve with App Masters says in one of his videos, is you want to have a lot of content in your paywall specifically. And it also helps, though, to have half of it below the fold.
That's
so they're not
what it is
immediately
here.
overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the content should be there. And the reasoning I've heard, I don't know if I've seen anything like proving it, but the reasoning I've heard for why this tends to convert better, in a lot of cases, not always, of course, is that when people are about to purchase something, they feel nervous, and having just a lot of content just feels like value and professionalism to them.
Yeah, so in this case, when you first look at it, it looks like a very simple paywall. But then when you scroll down, it reveals that there are pages, and then you can swipe left and right, and you can see more content to like further sell to the customer.
Yeah, I almost wonder too if part of it is if you've got somebody who's on the fence, the longer you can keep them in the paywall screen with the button visible, the more likely they are to just impulse purchase. So maybe just like literally having content that stalls out time drives up purchase conversions. I wouldn't be surprised.
And one thing that's interesting is that as you swipe through these different pages, I got to the third page and there was two things that were interesting about it. First, it was like, learn about your canthal tilt, and it said it was positive. And I was like, what the fuck is a positive canthal tilt? Like, I don't know what that is, right? Yeah. So I was like very curious what the hell that was all about. And then it said that my eye shape was almond. And I actually already knew that my eye shape was almond. So it like validated that it was actually doing something correct. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I've got almond eyes. Like, this is definitely working, right?
So they've got
I was like, what the fuck is canthal tilt? Oh, and this is like totally working on my face right now, basically.
Yeah, so it's both personalized and informative content in the paywall. So it's not even at that point bragging about features. The paywall itself contains app content.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Cool.
And so yeah, then I paid. Mine was $4.99 per week. I can see that now. It says you're all set, and then closes the paywall, and then it transitions to a screen that's my front and side photo, literally just two up, right? So like square on top, square on bottom, front and side photo, full screen. And then it just says analyzing, don't close the app. This could take 2 minutes. And then it pushes me back to the home screen once that's done. And
now, one thing here.
Go ahead.
So it sounds like they told you see your results, but maybe your results weren't even ready yet. Maybe to save.
They were not ready yet. Well, that's a good question, actually.
I could see that being a really smart way to save on compute costs. Do some like really upfront, lightweight compute to do like the personalizations, like almond shape that you mentioned. But then,
I wonder what they're doing is, I got another idea. It's possible that they just know that most people have almond eyes, and they're just putting like the most likely one in there. It could even
be hard coded. Yeah, because my understanding is with these AI apps, one of the really brutal killers with them is the compute is super pricey, so they need comparatively high LTV, or else they'll have horrible margins.
Yeah.
So if you could push the compute to the post conversion,
that would be a huge difference. Yeah. So I'm sure you're right that they're doing that, and my guess is that either they're able to do like a really fast prompt to just get like my eye shape or whatever. Or they're just guessing. I don't know what the answer is there. But in any case, speaking about the compute and the cost, they do something really smart about that, which you can talk about here in a second. So then it says generating your scan, and actually it's got three screens. Okay, let me back up for a second. It takes us to the home screen, and it's got 3 pages. And the first one just says free scan in 7 days, supercharged now. So one thing that they do that's really interesting is they only allow you to scan once every 7 days, or you can spend the $5 or whatever it is to do like another scan. Yeah, so that gets around the issue of the prompting cost.
And I think there's 2 brilliant things about that. One is you can pay to evade grind, which people really seem to love to do. And the second one I like is it really motivates you to keep your subscription alive, or a trial in the case where you're running a trial. That's something I want to apply to future apps. It's like, find a call to action that is a week into the future, because that's just like a ticket to free retention.
Yeah. Yep.
Cool. All right.
And then the next screen, it just shows my face and it says generating your scan, 10%. And so that's going up slowly. And then the third one just says Discord community, and it's got a showing now button. I'm not going to go into the Discord community stuff, but let's just say that it is alarmingly extensive, and the Discord community setup is like actually pretty wild.
Gotcha.
And so if anybody wants to just go look at the Umax Discord, just do that and just kind of crawl through it, and you'll kind of see what I'm talking about.
Cool. We're getting a bit long on time here. What do you think, like the last few steps, if we can speed run through them?
Yeah, we'll speed run the last few steps. So once the face scan is done, I can tap on view results. And this is actually kind of funny because when I signed up as female just because I was curious what it would do.
Yeah.
And so it gave me my ratings, and it's got a picture of my face, and it says overall 76, potential 87.
Not bad.
Not bad.
You're a cute girl.
I'm a cute girl, pretty cute girl. Femininity, it says 66, which is kind of funny because I got a huge beard in this thing, so nice. I would think that would be like negative 30, but like, what do I know? Yeah. Maybe that's cultural. What do I know?
It's 2024, man. Come on.
Yeah, right. Skin quality, 83. It's pretty good. Jawline, 71. I don't know how it can determine my jawline because I've got a beard. Yeah. You can't even really see my jawline. And then cheekbones, 68. And then it's got my face shape is rectangle. Canthal tilt is neutral. Eye shape is almond. And eye type is, I have siren eyes. Apparently that's a good thing if you're a woman.
By the way, before I forget, what's my eye type?
I actually don't know.
Damn, we'll have to look it up later.
You'll have to look it up. But actually, I'm getting the answer to the question about compute because I can see now that in my rating, my face shape and my canthal tilt doesn't match what was in the paywall. So the eye shape matches. So they're definitely just guessing there.
Yeah. Just took the mode for each category.
Yeah,
that's super smart.
Yeah. And then what it does is it shows a Gaussian distribution graph, just like a bell curve. And it says, you're here compared to everybody else for all these different things. And then it gives you a glow up routine where it says first priority is groom your eyebrows. That's fair enough because, nice. If I were a woman, god damn, these eyebrows are caterpillars, right?
Yeah. Maybe I thought your beard was just like lower eyebrows or something.
Who knows? And then lip health, skincare routine, tighten your facial skin. Cool. So the last three are kind of like, you can do that with anybody, right?
Yeah.
So they're not really too targetable like through GBT.
Yeah, and what's their like long-term engagement strategy? How do they keep you active in the app regularly, or do they not even care?
So they have the routine, and you've got like day streaks. I don't know how much people actually do them. And then they've got your progress pics, and then you can come back every 7 days to do another face scan.
Nice.
Is basically it in a nutshell. And because you're paying every 7 days and the new scan comes in every 7 days, then that pretty much makes it all work, doesn't it?
Yep.
Beyond that, They've got basic stuff like articles. They've got an AI coach that's just like a tuned GPT coach.
Yeah. And so we now have this mega recording of the whole app from App Store to onboarding to using the app. And you now take this recording onto your laptop and you grab a bunch of screenshots in it, and then you load that into Figma, correct?
Yep. I load that into Figma, and I literally just go left to right. So I don't do any like crazy graphs or anything like that. I just start from the left, and I make sure that things like the App Store listing is really long. So that one goes pretty far vertically. And then I just go right through the screens to the right. So it's more like a timeline than it is like mapping out screens and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Yep. Cool. And then when you're done, you've got this long timeline of app behavior. How do you turn that into your like top level takeaways?
So I use it mostly as reference, right? Okay. So it's like if I were going to do an app similar to this, now I know pretty much exactly how I'd want the onboarding structured, right? Yeah. And I have a pretty good sense of, for example, that the processing should be done afterwards. I've got a pretty good sense of how to make a paywall that scales between the person who just wants to smash the unlock now button to the person who needs a little more information because they're a little hesitant to the person who doesn't have any money and wants to just invite 3 friends. So that's like a pretty good example of a paywall that handles a lot of cases and seems to work pretty well. And then beyond that, the actual app itself is like alarmingly basic.
Nice.
And yeah, I just get to use it as reference, if I were to do something like this.
Nice. Cool. All right. I guess to finish up on Umax specifically, what would you describe as like the top 3 ingredients or top in ingredients that made that app work?
Okay, so first of all, it picked up on this looks maxing trend, which is definitely a trend that peaked probably 6 months ago. Maybe it's continuing, but it definitely seemed to peak about 6 months ago.
So like hook into trend and like having the cultural fluency to actually effectively leverage the trend and not be like, hello, fellow kids.
And build a insane funnel using like TikTok influencers, for example. And something that just like does really well on TikTok, right? Like funny looks maxing videos, I think we're just doing well on TikTok before this was even a thing.
Yeah. So just in general, found a really strong trend that was one you could like hook into well. Yeah. And then execute it on that.
And then build quickly. I don't know what his tech stack looks like, but build quickly with, some kind of GPT wrapper that's like behind a hard paywall, basically.
Gotcha.
Where you can only do this, you can only do the actual prompt once every 7 days.
Yeah.
And then you're billing people every 7 days. And then they can, escape hatch that by paying $5 to do a scan anytime, basically.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Anything else that we missed on your methodologies? Like, how does somebody listening to this copy you? Do they have everything here?
Yeah, I think they do. The short version is if you see an app that you want to study, just do a screen recording of you from searching for the app to installing the app to going through the app. Click through all the links so you can find all their socials. Search on social for people who are just creating content about the app. And just then dump all those into Figma, and it takes a while. Like you could spend an entire day doing a single app, but then you have that for life. Like I've referred back to this document, I don't know, 50 times.
Nice.
And we're doing an entire episode on it right now. So the value is evergreen.
Yep. Awesome. All right. I think that wraps up my curiosity. Here's my final question. Do you think we ought to share the Umax case study anywhere?
We could. I'm not against it. Might as well put it in the show notes, right?
Yeah. Let's do it. And maybe what I've always would love to see you do is a like YouTube live stream of one of your case studies.
I've thought about it. I've done like a couple of like lower key ones, and they didn't get a lot of engagement, so I kind of gave up on it. But if people want to see this content, feel free to at me at Twitter, and if enough people bug me, then I'll consider doing it.
I would like to nominate the next app too. Maybe that's another thing people can at you and me on is like what app do they want to see?
What would you nominate?
My nomination is Finch Care.
Yeah, I wondered about that.
Yeah. So just really quick for the audience, it's like a self-care tracker app that's merged with like a Tamagotchi style app. So you spend points on your cute little finch bird for outfits and adventures by doing basic self-care tasks you set for yourself. And I'm interested because I want to build a competitor for them. I'm salty I didn't get past the screening phase in their interview, but...
Got it. So now you can compete with them.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. All right. Thanks, man.
Cool, man. Really appreciate it. We'll talk soon.
Yep.